How do we cope with the brutal realities of life? How do we live on after learning the harsh truth about existence? Everyone has their own ways to do it. Some try to make the best of it, others resort in a state of existential depression. This video will be about the quote-unquote darker post-red pill coping mechanisms, also referred to in popular culture as the black pill and the clown pill. Welcome to the second episode of the three-part series, The Philosophy of Pills. If you haven't seen the first part, I suggest you to watch it first. The link is in the description. After taking a dive into the black pill community, I've noticed a lot of pain, bitterness, nihilism, and negative beliefs about the world taken to the extreme. The black pill goes far beyond just seeing the truth. It seems like a complete fixation on what's perceived as undesirable. Many black pillers can't stop talking about biological determinism and are obsessed with facial structure. Some argue that having a so-called warrior skull indicates an alpha personality and a wimp skull indicates, a wimp. Beliefs based on observations are presented as absolute truth and repeated in an inflated echo chamber among like-minded people that share similar convictions, mainly related to human nature and relationships between men and women. Some examples. 6 feet or taller is every girl's mandatory requirement. I won't deny that height matters for many women. I'm shorter than 6 feet and I've had girlfriends, which proves to me that this is a false belief. The problem is the absoluteness in this statement, shutting the door permanently. Or, looks are everything, personality is nothing. Well, I won't deny that looks are important, and online dating is almost entirely based on how one looks on pictures. But saying that looks are everything, personality is nothing, is an absolute statement, and it's incorrect. Unfortunately, by repeating black pill maxims often enough, they slowly become a new reality. And thus, one adopts a nihilistic ideology based on a growing series of depressing assumptions about human existence. I see that black pillers are eager to take any relevant piece of information as evidence for their claims, molding it until it fits into their set of ideas or generating new beliefs from it. Ironically, all these ideas only seem to serve one purpose: to keep themselves where they are, fixated on the dark depths of the abyss, without any resolution or effort to change their defeatist mindset. Among black pillers, anything that challenges their beliefs, or any positivity for that matter, is spat upon. The outgroup is referred to as normies. It's like a bucket full of crabs. When one tries to climb out, the rest pulls it back in. Now, I've experienced deeply dark periods in my life, so I can relate to the mechanism of the downward spiral that's clearly at work among the black pill community. Also, I won't deny that life isn't fair, that some people have advantages over others, and that our existence isn't free from tragedy. But we shouldn't make it more dreadful than it already is, by basing our worldview on false assumptions. Because then we're just creating another illusion, like the blue pillars do. Also, no matter how dreadful life is, there's always a choice in how we position ourselves towards it. There are countless examples of people who transcended a dreadful fate and found happiness nonetheless. The Stoics would say that there's no point in being miserable because you don't have a warrior skull, or because you're short, or aren't gifted with the same genetics as Chad, the captain of the football team. Chad can't help it either that he's blessed with good looks and an athletic body, can he? These things are not up to us, and therefore we shouldn't worry about them too much. Consider this quote by Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He is a wise man who doesn't grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. End quote. Taking the black pill is a choice, not a destiny. It's not the world that makes us miserable, but the position we take towards the world. At the end of the day, the abyss is nothing more than a fabrication of the mind. Now, another red pill coping mechanism revolves around a curious character named Clown Pepe. The idea is that we are living in an absurd society full of seemingly brain-dead NPCs, which stands for non-player character, a term from the gaming world. The NPCs consume everything that governments and large corporations throw at them, no matter how ridiculous. It's almost like the world is run by clowns. Taking the clown pill is an absurdist alternative to the black pill, embracing the absurd universe and seeing the humor of it all. However, if you have a strong normative framework, it's more likely to call things absurd that are deviating from the norm and be repulsed by them. Let's say ridiculous things like nacho baths and twerking contests. Recently there was a massive sale in a Dutch warehouse store named Blokker, during which people literally fought to get their hands on a certain product and the police had to come. In my eyes, that's quite absurd and just another sign of a morally decaying world. In this case, there's actually a very serious underlying concern. And if I would take the clown pill because I'm disturbed by such events, I almost masochistically put myself into a nihilistic state of acceptance. But it isn't true acceptance, because I'm still preoccupied with all the things that are, in my eyes, wrong in this world, and simply express my disapproval by clowning with a cynical undertone. Furthermore, there are people that use Clown Pepe as a symbol to push a political agenda, but by doing so they immediately reduce him to seriousness. He might ridicule those who he doesn't agree with. He does that because he actually takes his own cause seriously, which contradicts the role of the clown, in my opinion. I think that the true clown transcends any ideology and embraces the absurdity of it all. French-Algerian philosopher Albert Camus said, "Nobody realizes that some people expend tremendous energy merely to be normal." End quote. The masses consider following the latest trends, fashion, etiquette, ideologies, no matter how absurd, as an utterly serious matter. When the clown looks at the way people pursue their affairs in all seriousness, from managers to politicians, from lawyers to businessmen, from peasants to king, he starts to chuckle. He finds it quite amusing how people put so much energy into attaining these temporary goodies, like a high position in a company, honor because they defend a certain cause, a good reputation among the neighbors, respect from people that they don't even like, and money to buy stuff they don't need. It's like watching dogs fighting over a bone. Morpheus pointed out that people residing in blissful ignorance are so attached to the system that they don't want to be freed. In a similar way, the NPCs are so attached to Clown World that they don't want to see how ridiculous their existence actually is. The clown thinks that's ridiculously funny, and when he jokes about them, they'll most likely get angry. A clown upsets people because he reminds them of their humanity and that the universe may just be one big prank. And if they let that shine through, they will realize that the joke is on them, not on the clown. Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once said, "When I was young, I forgot how to laugh in the cave of Trophonius. When I was older, I opened my eyes and beheld reality, at which I began to laugh, and since then, I've not stopped laughing." End quote. Kierkegaard acknowledged the absurdity of existence, and he believed that only faith could transform the absurd into not absurd. The clown, however, is the definition of the absurd man that has embraced his absurd condition and probably rejects faith like he rejects ideology. As opposed to Kierkegaard, Albert Camus embraced absurdity, but he wasn't a nihilist. Camus believed that we must find happiness in our own way. He explained the human condition by the metaphor of Sisyphus, the king who challenged the gods and was condemned to push a rock uphill for eternity. When the rock reached its peak, it rolled down again, and so he had to push it up again. This is what our lives are like, according to Camus, and the best way to cope with this is by embracing the push. Furthermore, he said that we must fight against the unfairness of the world by creating our own meaning of life in order to achieve happiness. When we look at it this way, I think there's true acceptance to be found in taking the clown pill. The question is, what do we do when we realize that we're all part of a cosmic joke? Do we spend our lives clowning the NPCs? Or do we find other ways to create happiness out of meaninglessness? The third part of this series will appear in the near future. Thank you for watching.